welcome everybody to the CFL's Weekly Pick'em Show. We are doing a Grey Cup review show tonight. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster. I want to welcome in my co-host, Oz Davis.
Well, howdy everyone. Howdy Dieter. Howdy Mike, et cetera, et cetera. I'm ready to talk about this game. I'm sorry the season's over. I can't believe it's over so quickly.
I have not heard somebody say howdy in like 30 years, and I was watching an old episode of The Rifleman.
Yeah, that must have been it. Yeah, well, see, you got me. I was riffling through my Rifleman collection, Mike.
Do you have a Rifleman? Do you have a Rifleman collection, Oz?
No.
I do.
Really
I've got them all on tape. So
yeah.
That's how old I am. I got them on tape.
you and my dad and Dieter.
Oh yeah,
from down south. I know Dieter liked it.
I love the Rifleman. I still watch them.
Yeah, so do I. I had one of them guns, you know, the rifles where you could shoot them real quick like that. It was fake, of course, because I was 5. But, you know, plus I loved Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett, so I had the coonskin cap, too. But that'll bring us, I don't know how that'll bring us to our next host. But former CFL Hall of Famer, Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Hamilton Tiger Cats, Dieter Brock.
All right, Mike, Oz, good to be back with you again. Great game, though.
Yeah, definitely a great game. Joe Pritchard couldn't make it tonight. I think he probably had a little bit too much fun at the Grey Cup because he went to it. And Brian Schmidt cannot make it, which is his first miss of the year on the last show of the year. So he really had work stuff to attend to, so he couldn't be here tonight. But he said to Oz to send you his best, and hopefully you'll go off on a rant for him.
Okay, I'll try.
Well, I didn't think we had to really force you for that. But Grey Cup, Calgary, we all picked them. We were all wrong. Ottawa beats them 39-33. And I think a lot of this, and I think we talked about it last week, Oz, was Ottawa's ability to score first and jump out and basically hold on.
Right. Well, it was good that they could hold on. You know, it's interesting when you say that because, at one point, the Red Blacks were up 27-7 with, so 7 or so minutes left to play in the third quarter plus the fourth quarter, so that's about 22 minutes. Did you think they were out of it? Did you think?
No, I never thought they were out of it.
Okay, exactly. That's the thing. Hold the lead, well, yes, but not for the whole game, right? They couldn't hold the lead in the end. That was the thing. You never counted these Stampeders out of it. So, however, yes, scoring first was essential because the second half was what? 26-6 Ottawa. Calgary. That's what it was. They were completely, the Red Blacks were completely outscored after going up 27-7. Then they gave up the 20 points. So, getting out to that early lead was absolutely essential. It was interesting to see how they shut down the Stampeders in the first half, too. They couldn't do anything.
Yeah, and, you talk about it. It's really hard. It's hard to overcome a 27-7 lead, but it's even more hard, I think, sometimes to have that lead, give it up, and then come back and still win the game. And, Dieter, I hate to bring up the 84 Grey Cup, but you guys jumped out to a 14-3 lead, and then all of a sudden everything just kind of caved in on you. It's hard once you have a lead and everything's going right, when things go bad, to be able to recover and still win the game.
Yeah, but it's not unusual in the CFL, especially with two great teams, two great offenses to come from behind like that. It happens quite a bit in the CFL, and that's what makes the game so exciting to me. And this was a great game. I thoroughly enjoyed this game, and boy, did Ottawa though and Burris played just a tremendous game offensively.
Oh my God!
Yeah, 41 years old 41, win a Grey Cup. He had the pregame injury scare. He throws 3 touchdown passes, ran for 2 more. The guy was amazing, Oz.
Oh, it's insane. This guy's a contemporary of mine, for God's sake. He should be way younger than I am, and he's good. Just look at the stat line. The stat line is insane. 35 of 46, 461 yards, 3 touchdowns against 1 pick. just sick. And the thing, but he's got the touch. You know, he can't lose. He can't lose in these games. 3 Grey Cups attest to that.
Yeah, and I know, Dieter, you probably want to talk a little bit about him too. And, I mean, you talked about the 400 yards. That's the first quarterback to throw for 400 yards in a Grey Cup since Danny McManus did it in 1996.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was spot on throwing. And I mean, for 41, he still throws the ball great. He got a great arm, and Mitchell, got off to a rough start also, and to put him in the hole a little bit. Some of the balls that he threw seemed like him and the receiver weren't on the same page. But boy, this game turned out to be a great game, and one of the best games I've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah, and Mitchell throws 3 interceptions. Lost veteran receiver Marquay McDaniel, which I think had to affect him a little bit, Oz.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the longest completion in the game was to McDaniel.
Yeah, the 51-yard catch in the first quarter.
Right. I mean, as good as he was the rest of the game spreading it out, because, I mean, you look at the box score, he's finding everybody out there. Long range, short range, medium range, whatever. But he did not have that deep threat as soon as McDaniel was out. That was it. I'm glad that you're here this evening, Dieter, because I wanted to ask you about this.
What about me? Aren't you glad I'm here, Oz?
Well, that goes without saying, Mike.
All right.
I mean, you know you're my hero. But Dieter has a particularly specialization as a CFL quarterback. And I had a question about this. Twitter and such kind of flared up a little bit in the second and third quarter when Bo Levy seemed to be losing his composure a little bit out there, with the wild gesticulating and the obvious, sort of pantomime, what's up, how come you're missing that pattern and whatnot. And he was kind of getting called out a little bit for showing up his teammates. What did you make of all this? Did you think he was playing it up, or?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Oz. I mean, it did look like he was upset with some of the things that were going on. And like I said, there were a few times that I thought that him and the receiver just weren't eye to eye on where the ball was supposed to be thrown and where the receiver was supposed to be. And yeah, he did that. It did seem like he was kind of upset about that, and it showed. You're right.
Yeah, I think Go ahead, Oz.
Oh, it was wild. There was one play where I think it was Bakari Grant went in when he was clearly supposed to go out. He's supposed to go toward the sideline, and of course Bo Levy threw it to the sideline and whatever. And then he was chewing the guy out. He was yelling at the guy, and then one of the offensive linemen was like pointing to himself, saying, "No, it was my fault." And I was like, what is going on here? I mean, I know that they lost 2 of their offensive linemen in the last game, but I mean, this is a complete communication breakdown, and the whole first half looked like that.
Yeah. Well, they got it together, though, and they did come back and made a great comeback. And I know you guys there's a lot of speculation of what possibly could have been or should have been called or, at the end of the game. And I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yeah, and Oz, I'm sure Oz is ready to talk about that right now.
Oh, no, I want to see, I was going to do this before, but you stole my thunder, Mike. I was going to say, I'm glad you're on the podcast tonight because, here, of course, is the big question. Here's the big second guess. Do you throw long on your first play in overtime, in that 30-yard situation? Do you go for the bomb right off the bat?
Well, I'll tell you this. My thing is, who's the quarterback here?
Yeah, okay.
The thing is this. I mean, number one, when I'm watching a game, they don't show me in all 24, I guess it would be in the CFL.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the coverage is. I don't know if they've called a play and he audibled out of the play. I mean, it's hard to guess a situation like that, but my guess is, I don't know, Dieter, you can chime in on this, but if you're a big-time quarterback and you see something, you go for it.
I don't have a problem with that at all, really. I mean, I think maybe it's unexpected. Maybe they're thinking they're going to try to picking but here and there. But yeah, I thought it was a good call. I don't have any problem with the call. And then the play after that, I think the receiver had a chance to catch the football. So I don't have anything about the calls there. The one question I would have is after Messam before the overtime, right at the end of the game, had a run about 6 yards. I just felt like, man, if they'd have given the ball the next time, he was going to pound it in there and they'll win the game. That's what I thought should have possibly.
Yeah, and really,
happened.
Oz, to me, that situation, throwing that long ball, it's kind of the same thing if they've got the ball 3rd and 1, and all of a sudden he pops up and throws the ball deep and it's a touchdown. Everybody thinks it's a great call.
Of course.
If he overthrows it, then, it was stupid. Why didn't you run the ball?
Yeah.
So,
well, as soon as I saw that, I thought to myself, okay, if they lose this game, this is going to be the second-guess call. And, of course, it is.
No.
It's one of those going for 2 for the win kind of calls by the coach.
Yeah, but you got to go for 2 to win the game if you got a chance.
But exactly.
There's never been a time in my life where I coached a game where my team scored a touchdown and there was less than 30 seconds left and I'm down by 1 that I didn't go for 2, because if we go to overtime, I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to win the game again.
Right.
I've got a chance to win the game right there. And if I've got a chance to win the game, I'm going to take that chance.
Yeah, but if you don't make it, you look like a goat.
But I don't care if I look like a goat, because I would rather look like a goat to other people than we kick off to them in overtime or something. They run it back for a touchdown, and I never get that chance to win the game. Oh, there's no response.
No, I got you. Word.
Does that make sense to you, Dieter?
Well, I think a lot depends on what's happening during the time of the game, and a lot of times you just say, man, I just want to get regroup, kick it, get in the overtime, and try to win it that way. But it's whatever you think is the best for your team.
Dieter, I watched you play. I'm pretty sure you wanted to go for 2 and win the game every time.
Well, that's probably true, but I'm not sure that's always the right thing.
Well, also you had both kickers miss extra points in the game too.
Yeah, actually, one of the extra points that was missed by Ottawa maybe have saved the game for them, really, when it comes down to it, because if he had made that, they would have been ahead by 4 points, and
they may have went.
And Calgary would have had to go for the touchdown at the end of the game instead of kick the field goal. So it kind of worked in their favor.
That's why it's always hard to blame a game on one play, because a lot of different things can happen if that one play was made also.
Yeah, you can't blame it on one play. You always look at the time what the play, and everybody wants to focusing on that one play, but there's a lot of plays in the game that could have changed the outcome of the game.
Well, basically what lost Calgary the game was a slow start. They played poorly in the first quarter. They lost the game.
Yeah,
the first half.
The thing is, Calgary came back. they made a great comeback. They got back. They had a chance to win the game at the end. I would think, that the play they ran on the second and goal from the 2 at the end of the game, where the third-string quarterback comes in and runs their short yardage offense, I think if they had to do that over again, I think he would have probably tried to give the ball to Levi Mitchell in there and give the ball to Messam probably and take your chances on that. I really just felt like, the way he ran the ball on the play before, that if they had to give it to him the next time from the 2, that he would have put it in the end zone.
No, it's just that Messam didn't have a great he didn't have a great day running the ball.
No, he didn't. But just on the play before that
this is true.
Wide sweep there. The play before there, they got it down to the 2-yard line at the end of the game there. I thought he was going to score then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then you thought the quarterback was going to score on the rollout too, and then the diving.
Well,
grab,
that's a play that they had, and I think they ran it earlier in the game, and he did score. But you can always second guess the play call. Though I'm not saying it was a bad call. I'm just saying if if they had to do it over, I'm sure they would have tried to see if Messam could punch it in there.
Right. If they could second guess themselves, they would. Right.
Yeah.
So I would say this. From watching the game, this is for both of you. Dieter first. Henry Burris, 41 years old. You can't go out better than winning a Grey Cup, especially the way he won it, in the situation he won it, and against the team he won it against. Do you think he comes back and plays, or do you think that he calls it a career now?
Wow. That's a tough one there because, he played so well. And you like to say, well, a guy plays that well, why not come back and play again? Because he actually played pretty well, throughout the season. Now, the quarterback, they got Trevor Harris, who was the starting quarterback at the start of the year there, and is going to be a damn good, player for him. But Burris played so well. I don't know. I don't know if it's hard to say I'm going to hang it up after playing like that.
Now, if you're Ottawa, though, number one, do you want to go with the younger guy that can play? Because I think, didn't Burris start the year out, got hurt, then Harris came in and played his butt off, then he got hurt and Burris came back?
Well, yeah, you remember how it went. Burris.
Yeah, because really, with Trevor Harris playing for those 3 or 4 weeks before he got hurt, they looked like the best team in the CFL.
Right, and the transition from Burris to Harris with what was ultimately a much different looking offense, they made seamlessly. After about 5 or 6 weeks, the Red Blacks were looking great. It's like, they can just switch quarterbacks and they're still the best team. It was a freakish season in that respect. But you remember, Burris went out with that weird pinky injury. The thing is, he played maybe half the season this year. He did not play the whole.
I'm sure y'all hear a dog.
Yeah, does your dog have something to say about the Grey Cup, Dieter?
He must.
You need a bigger dog too, Dieter.
Well, here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. I've got to go pick my daughter up.
Everyone.
You just need a bigger dog. You sound like you got one of them lap dogs, Dieter.
That's a Pomeranian dog.
Yeah. Did your wife make you get that?
That's the one my wife wanted. That's for sure.
Yeah. See, I got a 100-pound lab, and he thinks he's a lap dog too, and that could get painful from time to time. Be sitting in the chair, and all of a sudden you got a 100-pound lab jumping on your lap.
Oh yeah.
So, Oz, I thought the big difference in this game, like you said, Calgary missing a couple offensive linemen, and Ottawa was able to pressure Bo Levi Mitchell from time to time.
Yeah, it was an un-Bo Levy-esque game after this season. And again, I guess this was the 12th different formation they've had to start at the offensive line, and I guess it was just one too many because you could see the difference. The nice thing for Calgary was that they seemed to get stronger as the game went on rather than tucker out, which was a positive because it allowed them to make that third and fourth quarter comeback. But that was probably the difference, and that's probably why they couldn't get anything going in the first half. You'd assume so.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people in Calgary would be mad about me saying that, but that's the first time Ottawa's won a Grey Cup since 1976. I know their parade, they had 40,000 people
Good
there.
for them.
And Ottawa has, lost 2 teams in those 40 years?
Yep.
You had the Renegades for a while, so, I think this is great for the CFL. Ottawa has a great fan base, and it looked like most of that crowd was cheering for the Red Blacks.
Oh, well, in a way, it's kind of the better story. Like for example, if you get in the Super Bowl this year, if you get the Patriots versus, the Lions, what's the better story here? You know, I mean, it's pretty clear. Even something like Patriots versus Cowboys, you want like the new face. You want the interesting story. The Stampeders all season long have been beautiful to look at. They just play marvelous football. But the Red Blacks are the plucky under 500 team with the ancient quarterback and the core of receivers that's so exciting. You know, it's a better story.
All right, so final takeaways from the season, Oz?
Final takeaways from the season. Wow. Okay. I think no team in recent sports history is more motivated to destroy the entire league and win the championship than the 2017 Calgary Stampeders. If this team is not motivated to win as many games as possible and destroy everybody on the way to the championship, I would be very surprised. On top of everything else, I think they're going to be able to attract free agents with the promise that, yeah, we're going to win the cup if you sign with us. This is going to be a monstrous team next year. If you thought they were good this year, I think wait till next year.
All right, so Dieter, you agree with Oz?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's next year is going to be a new year, and I think a lot of teams are going to think they're going to have a chance to win. And I'm really curious about what Winnipeg's going to do with Matt Nichols. I know they're going to try to sign him, but I mean, Nichols is a free agent, so I'm not sure what other teams, though, would I know there's probably a couple of teams that would probably want to sign him, but, most of those teams up there in the CFL now have legitimate starting quarterbacks, and they're pretty happy with them.
Yes, but Dieter, this year proved that you pretty much need two quarterbacks. I mean, look what happened to Hamilton.
You're true. That's true. Most teams need a good backup quarterback, and it's going to be it'll be interesting to see what happens here with the quarterback situation there in Winnipeg and in the CFL, because what's Burris going to do? So.
Yeah, what's somebody like Darian Durant doing in Saskatchewan?
Exactly.
Yep.
I don't know what because they're going to need a quarterback if they don't sign Durant. So it'll be an interesting off season.
So, Oz, are there any backups on teams that may get a look from a Saskatchewan if they were losing Durant?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I wonder who fills in these positions. There's not that much to disperse anymore, I don't think. Does Ricky Ray may leave? Because I think they're going to blow things up in Toronto. And they don't need, a 47-year-old quarterback in Toronto. So Ricky Ray will probably be playing somewhere else. Who knows what's going to happen to the, 18 quarterbacks they have in Montreal? I mean, they might just throw those to the winds, too, because,
what do you think that's one where they got a fair amount invested in Vernon Adams? You think maybe they just go with him as a starter because of that?
Yeah, I think Adams is the future. Some of it's going to depend on who the next coach is, but I think they're going to go with who they have now. I think they're just going to roll him over. So yeah, it'll be Adams. And Adams, he did okay the last couple games. He was okay. So they'll probably run with him. But that means they lose somebody like Rakeem Cato. They're not going to have a quarterback controversy, quote unquote, there. That's for sure. So he goes somewhere else. I can see him to Saskatchewan, nice young team for him to play with. Tough to say. But Dieter is correct. The Harris signing is going to be the key free agent signing. That's going to be the number one move by any team this offseason.
You mean Harris or Burris?
Harris, yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember what you said there. You talked so long, I lost consciousness almost. Dieter, you got
Sorry. I try to keep it short. I swear.
All right. Well, I've listened to some of your other shows, and actually you do keep it short for us compared to those. But, Dieter, any final words?
No, it's been a great year. I enjoyed being on with you guys, and look forward to next year having another great year.
Well, I still think next year you ought to add a Winnipeg Blue Bombers show.
Well, that's a possibility we need to talk about.
Because we got old Joe's a Winnipeg Blue Bomber fan. He'd probably like to co-host a show with Dieter, don't you think, there, Oz?
That would be fantastic. That would be a great show.
And I would like to thank everybody that listened, especially north of the border. And I know this. At the start of the year, I put out my preseason power rankings, and I had Ottawa at number 1. And I got called everything in the book by a lot of people to send me messages. I would just like to tell those people that Ottawa did end up number 1. But in all seriousness, we did 23 shows this year on this, and we got a little bit over 70,000 listens, which I want to thank everybody that listened, especially north of the border. Because I'll tell you what, when I watch the CFL now, it's a better game than what the NFL is now. I mean, you agree, Oz? Dieter? It's just, I watch the NFL and it just seems like it's one big holding penalty.
Well, I just like the idea that, in the CFL, you're never really out of a game. And, and it's been proven over and over, the comebacks that have been made and the closeness of a lot of the games this year is just, it's been 1 or 2 points either way, and it's been a great year.
Yeah. But Dieter,
this year was a great year for overtime games and intriguing games and great storylines. But I will say this. Look, the first half of the season, couldn't you say that the CFL was just one big, challenge of a pass interference penalty?
Yeah, that's got to change. Something's got to happen.
That really kills the flow of a game.
Yeah. I didn't like that at all.
It got better in the second half of the season. It got better when they tweaked it just a little bit. They limited the number of times you could do that.
Yeah, but the problem is you can see a play. You slow it down into slow motion, and a lot of times it's going to look like a pass interference either way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Something's got to be done. You got to. I hate that. It seems like the defensive backs can't play the game. You can't touch them, and that's not. That's just too easy.
So I'll tell you this, Dieter, when you came into the CFL, 1975, 76, what were the rules on the DBs?
Well, I don't,
where they could touch them until the ball was in the air, like the NFL
God,
was?
Yeah. From what I remember, yeah. You could. Hell, they would have done a pass interference call on every play back then. every play.
And the thing is this, your defensive backs back then were better. But, today I think you have wide receivers that are so big, strong, and fast that if you're only allowed to touch them once inside of 5 yards, they're going to beat you most of the time anyways. There's nothing you can do about it, especially if your offensive line is as good as Calgary is and you get 4 or 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, they think the points sell. But you know what? I don't find anything more boring than watching a Big 12 football game that ends up 68-66.
But you like this one too, right?
Huh?
You like this one too, though, right?
I like this one too. What?
Yeah, the Grey Cup. You liked this Grey Cup, right? There were
it was 38-33, but they played defense. You could have a high-scoring game where teams are at least putting up a fight. Anymore you get too many games, especially at the college level with the air raid, which I love, by the way. It's what I coach. But the run and shoot, you get 4 wide receivers spread wide, and it's just nobody ever runs the ball. In the CFL, the one thing I did notice is this. Whoever runs the ball most successfully usually wins the game. And I think that's true on most levels of football.
Yep.
Except for in the Big 12. But Big 12 football bothers me sometimes. But I think West Virginia's got a defense. I don't think anybody else does. But Oklahoma's got a quarterback and a wide receiver, so they're the best team there. But I do want to thank Dieter for coming on. It was an honor to have you on all year. I think you.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
As the article I wrote stated, I think you're one of the top 10 quarterbacks in CFL history. I don't care what anybody says, but I think you can play. Also. And we all know the Rams screwed you over anyways. You should have been the starter the next year too. But I think we already talked about that when we interviewed you there. But guys, I know the Rouge, White, and Blue will be up, probably tomorrow, Oz?
Yes, tomorrow, so that would be Wednesday.
Okay, and then also we are going to continue. We're going to continue, me and Brian Schmidt, maybe all time to time, our CFL Legends show. Dieter, Robert Drummond, John Gregory have all been in on the past. So, Dieter, I may hit you up, see if you can give me any contacts with some former CFL players we could have on.
Okay.
So make sure you check that out also. If you like the NFL, you like college football, we got a college football weekly pick'em show. This week, we'll have it on Sunday night after the selection show. It'll be myself, former Alabama offensive lineman Bill Searcy, who won national titles in 79 and 80 with Alabama. He also played for the Chargers, played in the USFL for a while. Joe Kelly, who was on the great 1985 Washington Husky team that finished second to BYU, won the Orange Bowl 28-17 over Oklahoma. And Joe Kelly is the linebacker that punched the Boomer Schooner and knocked the horse over there before the game. So they actually did an ESPN short on that for like 10 minutes on New Year's Day last year.
Wow.
And it's Joe's favorite moment from his career. I think it even beats the Super Bowl for him because he's texting me, flip it to ESPN now. This is where I knocked that horse down.
Nice.
But, guys, make sure you check us out at thegruelingtruth.net for all our articles, podcasts. You can listen to us on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Google Music, Stitcher, Spreaker. Anywhere you find podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So, once again, even though they're not here, we'll announce their names because they were an integral part this year. Joe Pritchard, Brian Schmidt, Oz Davis, and Dieter Brock. I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.